maybe before I can talk about continuous variation, but so we can have something, so we can have a graph that can show, or we can plot continuous variation. Now this, you might notice that, so this can be the number of organisms or the number of people bending. Like I said, I would just want to be as practical as possible. So organism, so it can be whatever organism, right? And maybe this can be maybe a characteristic in height. Okay, so maybe this one can be a characteristic in height. So ideally, if we plot this, right, we can see that as the number of population is increasing, the number of these organisms is increasing, even the height will come like that, and eventually it can drop depending with the those kind of factors that have given you that will influence that. So ideally, in short, what we're trying to say is this: under continuous variation, and with regards to this graph that I'm giving you, we said that these are influenced by a lot of genes, right? As one of the factors that as one of the factors that plays a role in continuous variation. So we can see this characteristic, similar characteristic amongst a certain group of people or a certain population. And I've given you that example of maybe Arabs, or that example was of our friends, like those people from Sudanese, or you can get it from those people like who we call maybe Red Indians in the Mexicans, or in those region of Amazons. You can notice that even their skin color, even their skin tone, they have got a similar. But do those people coming from maybe a one parent? The answer is no. All right, so those that are being characterized by a lot, many genes that are playing part, that is running amongst them themselves, and ideally also the environmental factor is playing a part. So when we talk about this continuous variation, now we're going to see now what also this continuous variation is trying to tell us. So right away, let us talk about discontinuous variation. Okay, so with regards to discontinuous variation, so discontinuous variation, this is a type of variation where we've got a clear cut. All right, what it means is that we've got where a characteristic, okay, has a clear cut different, right, in groups, or maybe amongst a similar group. So now when you talk about this, okay, it's where now you've got a clear cut. What does it mean to say a clear cut? All right, we have a distinction. It is distinct, it is different from the rest of the other population. So it can be the same species, or maybe let me say it can be the same parent, or maybe it can be the same population, the same organism, all right, the same organism, but you're having a clear cut. So we can be, for example, we are Arabs, all right, so maybe we are Arabs, for example, but amongst these Arabs, maybe you can find that not all these Arabs who have the same blood group, for example, right, not these Arabs who have the same skin tone, or maybe not these they will have the same color of the eyes, for example. So they have that difference amongst them. So you've got a clear cut amongst themselves. So an example can be, an example of continuous variation we talk about, we say blood group, right? So blood group, what did I, right, so yeah, so blood group can be that example. Another example can be color of your eyes. Okay, color, the color of your eyes also. So if we look at this, right, this is just when you talk about discontinuous. We had continuous, but this is discontinuous, whereby you've got a clear cut, right? It's a crystal clear to say there's a difference, right? It is the same population, the same region, the same environmental factors, but we're having people amongst ourselves as Arabs, amongst ourselves as Sudanese, amongst ourselves as whosoever, or amongst the same, those kind of organisms, can be in cats, can be in dogs, can be in other animals. They have also certain variation that is different from the rest. And an example that I've given you is blood groups. So I hope you've gotten what I'm trying to say. So now there are factors also, or there are things that causes discontinuous variation. All right, so mentioning those things that will cause discontinuous variation is, we noticed that in continuous variation was influenced by many alleles or many genes. But however, in discontinuous variation, this is controlled, it is controlled by one or single. All right, so it is controlled by a single gene. All right, it is being controlled by a single gene. So it's only a single gene that plays that. That is what is influencing. Another thing that is influencing is that lack of environmental influence. All right, so here we don't have environmental factors coming into play. All right, so regardless with the climate change, regardless with the climate that you are, regardless with what is happening in your environment, what you are eating, so it is what will make this discontinuous variation. So ideally, similarly with what we did with continuous variation, also we'll try to present this on a graph. So the common example that we'll give you is, okay, so here we can have, this can be blood change. All right, so maybe we can have blood group here, right? Blood group change. Okay, then this is the number of people or the number of organisms. Okay, number of organisms. So what is happening is this. All right, so in as much as the population is growing, okay, we'll have different blood group. All right, so if this is O, right, meaning AB, okay, then we have A, then we can have B there. So we can have that. So if you look at that, it is illustrating the discontinuous variation occurring in that particular population. So if, for example, if a parent is O, then the other parent is AB, so it's okay, so it can have A, it can have B. Similarly, if they are AB, they can have B, they can have that one. So meaning it is what? It is discontinuous. It is not being controlled by many genes or influenced by environmental factors. Now that we've understand variation, let us now talk about other thing else with regards to genetics. So we're going to talk about chromosomes and genes.